On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks offense comes out of the gate hot, and then they completely fall off. What happened to them? How did they get the win? And what does this tell us about the Mavs when they go play the Clippers in the first round? Because we know that now. We'll talk about all that and more in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Let it ride. Let it ride for the 5th seed in the playoffs, for making the playoffs, for 50 wins. Let it ride for all of that.
I thought you were going Bruce Banner there at the beginning.
No, I was going Super Saiyan. That's what I'm
And on this box, YouTuber.
with 30,000 subs. Thanks for being a part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform, like the video on YouTube, leave a 5-star review, comment anything below. Let me know on one thing that stood out to you in the Mavs win against the Heat, and then go over to the Locked On Heat channel and just say 2011 Go Mavs. That's it. Just say 2011 Go Mavs in Locked On Heat's channel. Shout out to Wes Goldberg and David Ramil. Great stuff over there by those guys. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And joining me, as always on a post game, what's up, brother? What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Not the sketch impersonation.
I literally only learned what that is because all the sports teams are doing it on all their socials. Right? They're all going up to the players, and the Mavs did it today. They're going up to them.
I've been fascinated by the whole thing. I've seen a few clips here and there, and I don't know what it is. Can't tell
you know that you're the Mavs version of sketch, right? You know that?
No. I have way more swag. People say I look like the quartering.
Yeah, you'd be able to talk to.
And someone was like, "You should dress like the quartering one day," and I'm like, "Trust me, I could never even if I tried to, it wouldn't even make sense."
On today's show, we're gonna celebrate the Mavs getting to 50 wins because last year was a pain in the butt, and now we can celebrate a Mavs team being good again. We'll talk about the Mavs and the Clippers because we know that matchup is happening. We'll talk about some of the guys that made big impacts in this game. I want to talk about Derrick Jones Jr. He's been really underrated. PJ and Gafford, obviously. Luka and Kyrie have been dealing, but let's start here. The Mavs and their offense against the Heat. In the first half, Mavs up 69-47. They have a 25-point lead at one point. Their offense was just dealing, absolutely dealing. Looked like they were everything was firing on all cylinders. It looked like the Mavericks were the team that had a couple days rest. And the Heat were the team, and both of these teams played last night. But the Heat played a 2-overtime game against the Hawks. They won that, but it looked like the Mavs had such fresh legs. Josh Green comes back. I think he provided a pretty good spark for the Mavericks. And, man, that offense the first half was dealing, and then it just completely fell off in the third quarter. But what did you see in that first half where the Mavericks were just, rolling?
Well, it helps whenever you're knocking down all of your threes, and Kyrie's 5 of 6 from 3 in the first half, and Luka's 3 of 6 from 3 in the first half. And those guys, like tone setters, knocking down threes like that is just, it's a freight train. And then they get out in transition, which they did in this game, off of forcing turnovers from the Heat. The Heat had 7 turnovers in the first. I think they finished the game with 15 turnovers. So you did a good job there, getting out and then getting Gafford the ball in the middle of the floor. Like first half, it was a freight train. Like it was all the things we said about their offense is, man, when it's going, it's just there's literally no stopping it at all. There's nothing you throw at him because Luka sees everything and can react to everything. And the Heat do have a top 10 defense. They're 8th in defense. And I was looking at these numbers earlier today. Since the trades, the Mavericks have had the second best offense versus top 10 defense in the league, which is where you want to be at, considering that's more than likely what you're going to get in the playoffs almost every game.
What's been one of the most impressive things about a Luka-led offense the last like 4 or 5 years? And to go back to that team, it was Luka, Porzingis, Rick Carlisle. The Mavericks had the #1 offensive rating in NBA history at the time, which would probably be like 19th this season because offense is insane. But you go back to teams like that, and like it was because the Mavericks had an insane offensive rating, and they weren't getting anything easy, really. They would get no fast break points. They would get like no points in the paint because they couldn't score like that. I mean, they would get some, but now they're getting both of those. They're getting dumps down to Gafford that are for easy dunks. They're getting 20 fast break points in the first half. Like, they're getting some easy stuff now. And then when it comes down to, all right, let's slow it up. Let's methodically try and find a bucket and work our way and like grind a bucket, right? Like, they can do that still because Luka could always do that. And now Kyrie can do that as well at the same time. And it's taken the Mavericks offense to another level. Now, the rest of the offense in the NBA has gone up to another level. But in first halves like this, when everything is rolling, and yes, the Mavericks were shooting really well, it was a positive Magnets game for the Mavericks in the first half. Even though the Heat shot 46% from three in the first half too. But yeah, everything was just working well for the Mavs. And then you get to that third quarter, and it just fell off completely. Yeah. I mean, the Mavs shot 7 of 25 from the field. Nothing was going down. I thought they got some good shots in that quarter, but nothing was going right. And then the Heat switched from, I was really curious about how Bam Adebayo, like how the Mavs would fare against him with playing Daniel Gafford and trying to stay big, and would they go small and try to space him out and all that. And the Heat did that. The Heat went with Kevin Love at the 5. They spaced everything out, and Kevin Love had a really good quarter, and that's how the Heat kind of got back in this game.
Yeah, the Heat bench unit. I mean, this was a really bad game from the Heat. Like, this was a must-win game at home, and that is a really bad showing. Like, that's a horrible showing. And Bam Adebayo was terrible in this game. And it was whenever Tyler Hero and Kevin Love really were popping off in that third quarter. And I have to say, this is just like such lazy analysis and base level stuff. It really felt like the Mavs came out at halftime like, all right, like I'm not, especially Luka was like, I'm not putting forth any more effort in this game than is required out of me.
Well, we've said about this defense for years now. It depends on effort and like intention. And if you don't come out with that, then they have come out with that level of effort and intention recently a lot, and they've been really motivated. They've been really motivated, and it's looked like they've really wanted to. And then as soon as you don't, it's like, okay, well, it can fall off again.
It felt like Luka was like, I'm not like, and this was the Heat's defensive thing too. They were trying to keep the Mavericks shooting threes, but Luka was more like, I'm not, banging into the paint and trying my hardest to beat guys off the dribble right now. Like, that's what it looked like to me, that he was cool with, hey, if I knock down a few more threes, this can be a huge lead. And, maybe I don't have to play in the fourth quarter. Like, that's just kind of what it felt like. But you got to give the Heat some props for playing good defensively. They threw zones out there. Like, that's just what the Heat do. They throw a bunch of different things at you.
That whole mentality you just mentioned was embodied in that play where Luka tries to jump the pass that goes to Kevin Love. He tries to steal it, completely misses it, and then Kevin Love hits a 3 after Luka just completely it's like, oh, they were just going for the home run, right? Like, they were trying to throw the Hail Mary pass instead of just running it. Like, they didn't want to run it, if I'm going to use a football term here in Texas. But they still got it done. They still found a way to win, and they grinded it out. And their defense in the fourth quarter, I just thought that they didn't allow anything easy from the Kings from the Heat at all. 4 points in the paint in the fourth quarter. They only allowed 18 points total from the Heat in the fourth quarter. And do you know who had more points in the second half between Omax Prosper and Jimmy Butler?
Well, I'm going to guess Omax.
Neither. They both had 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jimmy was all like,
trick question.
This was, if you're a Heat fan, you're disgusted by this, or at least you should be.
Go to Locked On Heat, comment 2011 Go Mavs on there.
Yeah.
On their channel.
And understand, as a Bam Adebayo guy, I'm disgusted for you guys as well. So,
yeah. Well, and you could chalk this up to a second night of a back-to-back. Played in a 2 overtime game last night that Bam had to play like 47 minutes. Yeah. Butler played 44 minutes. Hero played, I think, 48 minutes. I mean, they looked like they came out tired and didn't have the right legs under them. The Mavs are also just a different team. Like, these two teams are closer in record than they are actually right now in play, because the Heat have been kind of going down and the Mavs have been going way up. I mean, 50 wins. They have the best record in the NBA since March 7th. They're 15-2 now. They're absolutely rolling. They're dealing. But coming up, let's talk about why they're doing that. It's Luka and Kyrie and how they looked and what we saw from those two guys coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Nissan wants to know if you are the type of driver that likes to push things a little bit further. Are you the type of person that likes to just go out on adventures and just try the open road? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capability to take your adventure to that next level. Check out the 2024 Nissan Rogue, perfect for city drives and great escapes. They have the class exclusive Google built-in. It's your always updating assistant on call for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone, fumbling through all that. They've got Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store, all built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Also, check out the 2024 Nissan Armada. It will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that will seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Check out the Nissan Rogue, the Armada, or the Nissan Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Again, that's NissanUSA.com. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking in on the show. 5 days a week, Dallas Mavericks show. We'll probably do 7, and I'll probably not stop doing podcasts until the Mavs get eliminated from the playoffs, and then even then, we'll keep doing podcasts. As soon as they get eliminated, or if they don't.
Maybe eliminated by time, because it'll be over.
It's a great point. As soon as time runs out on the Mavs playoff run, and when we're hoisting whatever,
way or another,
hoisting something. There you go. All right, Slightly. Let's talk about Luka and Kyrie, because I mean they're just rolling on, and they're dealing. They're rolling on all cylinders right now. They combine in this game. Luka has 29 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. A classic Luka game. 25 points for Kyrie, 4 assists for him as well. Kyrie goes 10 of 15 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. Doesn't get to the free throw line, but he's going for that 50, 40, 90 season. These two, you can just see they're on a different level right now. The passes that they were making in this game, it's like, let me pass to you, but you're not at that spot yet, and I know where you're going to go. And like, I just felt like their connection has just continued to grow and grow as each game goes on.
Well, we didn't mention a play in the game last night on the podcast, which was that crazy, like, the ball moving around and it ends up in Luka's hands and he makes that jump pass to Kyrie, and then Kyrie has the perfect bounce pass on a Luka cut that ended in that crazy Luka layup. That play is really an embodiment of just how synced these guys are. And it is just like, it's almost when you're as good as both of them, you need another player who's as skilled as you are to fully understand where you're coming from. And it's almost like Luka finally has that guy. You know, Brunson's incredibly skilled. KP's tall, and it's just like Kyrie has this like crazy skill, and it's almost like they know exactly what the other wants, and it's like, all right, I know Kyrie, he likes to do this, you know, I need to get him the ball right here and he can go to work, and I know Luka likes this and he likes this matchup, he likes catching it here where he can post up, like I'm gonna give him the ball here. It's just like, it's crazy. I think Kyrie is just hilarious because it's like he wants a 50, 40, 90, he's talked about it. And it's crazy to me that he can just lock in and be like, all right, I'm going 10 to 15. Like, there's no forcing missing. It's like, I'm locking in and I'm not missing shots.
His thing right now is he's got to improve his field goal percentage. That's like the thing, which is insane to say when you're shooting like 49%. But that's the thing he's got to get up right now. He's at 49.7%. So he's got to improve that a little bit. And so, yeah, to just lock in and go, you know what? I'm going to go 10 of 15 from the field tonight. And his shots, like, I feel so good about every shot he takes. It's like he can just get to a spot, find a spot in the paint, and just rise up, and boom. He just, like, it just is easy shots too that feels like he gets to, but it's because he can get to a spot on the floor. They both players just make basketball look easy sometimes. You go, oh, I can do that. And then you go out there and you're like, oh wait, no, I can't.
Yeah. Those pull-up paint, those little pull-up jumpers in the paint for Kyrie feels like they're almost 80% right now. Like, it just feels like he never misses them. And then the pull-up threes in transition also feels like those are like 60%. It feels like anytime he shoots it, you feel like it's going in. And it's just, those are two unguardable shots because, like you said, Kyrie's going to get to his spot really no matter how good of defense you play on him. Like, he's so crafty that he'll get to that spot and rise up and shoot. And he does have that. He is a very sneaky athletic guy. Like, all the talk is about Kyrie's insane, skills and ball handling and all of that. But it really, like, he does have quite a bit of, he's a great athlete too. Not like a John Morant level, but
we've seen 6 dunks this year, the most dunks he's had in his career. So
most dunks in his career, but you see it in his like deceleration and how high he can get on his jumpers at times, and then the pull up threes in transition. That's just there's no guarding that really when he gets a step on someone.
There's really not. So yeah, Luka and Kyrie, they were the engine that continues to push this team forward. And what stood out to me in this game too was when Luka sits, it's like, okay, Luka sits, and usually, like I think it was Wes Goldberg Locked On Heat tweet, man, the Heat did not take advantage of the non-Luka minutes because Luka got in foul trouble early in this game. He had 3 fouls in the first, 8 minutes of this game or so. So he sits out. Mavs are only up by 2 at that point. And then so the Kyrie comes back in a little early. And then from the end of the first quarter till the beginning of the second quarter, when Luka checked in at like the 8:44 mark, the Mavs went on a 22-11 stretch without Luka. And you're like, they used to just die in those times when Luka sat. And now Kyrie running this unit, it's been awesome to see that and to be able to like, all right, one unstoppable shooter is gone, and now another unstoppable shooter comes on the court.
That's why the on-off stuff can be very, very misleading, and you really have to dig into why there's numbers like these instead of just staring at these numbers blindly and using it for like MVP arguments. Is that, this plus minus is better than this plus minus? Well, why is that? Because when Luka comes out, one of the greatest guards in the history of the sport is on the floor still for the Mavericks, and Kyrie Irving, and they like to split their minutes. Okay, well, that makes sense. Versus some other players, some other Eastern European MVP candidates who are, there's like entire bench lineups on the floor at times that really inflate on off numbers.
Already. He won it already.
I do. I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of being gaslit. I'm sorry.
He won it already.
No, he didn't.
No, Jokic just won it already. That's what I'm saying.
No, he didn't.
Give it to a new guy. Jokic has already won a couple.
Yes. Yeah, where's the voter fatigue for Jokic?
Yeah,
like everyone's like, LeBron can't win anymore. Giannis is done with the voter fatigue.
It's right now. We're doing the MVP thing again. It's like they look at it and go, man, we should have given it to Jokic last year. So let's give it to him this year. It's okay.
I mean, he has been great, but it is like all of the boxes everyone set out for Luka. It's like, all right, well, you checked that one. Well, you checked that one. Well, that one's been checked as well.
I guess we don't even know if he will be second based on that straw poll that ESPN took. Like Luka may not even get second. But
this is where my main push is coming. I want to get in some voters' ears. He has to finish second. He cannot be third. He cannot be third. That will be a stain on the sport. It will be.
There's no way SGA is more valuable than Luka. There's just
people
no way.
In 20 years will look at this season from Luka historically, the numbers and everything. And they're like, oh my God. And then they'll be like, what, third in MVP? What were they doing there? And they'll be like, his Glorp and his Dorp and his Florp ratings were lower than the other 3 guys.
Not a big Glorp and Dorp guy, huh?
No, terrible stats.
The highest Luka's ever finished in MVP was 4th, and that was his second year in the league.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He finished 4th in MVP and 3rd in most improved, which I think is just like an insane season. I don't know if anybody's ever done that.
It's funny too, because he was mad about being 3rd in most improved. I remember that.
Isaac and I were fully pushing for him to get most improved that season. Like really making fully making a case, because we were like, listen, the hardest thing to do is to go from good player to elite star. Like that's the hardest thing to do. And that's what they usually try to give it to players like that. Paul George, hasn't he won it? And Giannis has won it, and Ja's won it. Like
Siakam.
Yes, yeah. Like you go from good player to star. Like that's the leap that's harder than like who won it that year.
Was it Devontae Graham? No, he finished second, I think.
Most improved Ingram.
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. It was Ingram, then Bam Adebayo, then Luka, and then Tatum.
Luka wanted Devontae Graham to get it, and that's what he was saying. I remember vividly.
Well, that was the only thing he was going to get in his career. He's not really doing anything now.
Hey, he got a decent bag.
No, I'm not saying he didn't get paid for it. Coming up, let's talk about the others that made impacts in this game. Let's talk about Derrick Jones Jr. He's been underrated. Let's talk about Josh Green, his return to the lineup. What did he bring? Let's talk about all that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds and lines that you can go have fun with sports while you're watching it. Go check out. They have the NBA going into playoffs. A lot of stuff. They have awards too. Do I have to go check? I guess I have to go check where Luka is in the awards. They have NHL as we're going into the Stars at 50 wins as well. So go check out that and go check out things that have for NHL. And you can get new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed, $150 win or lose. They've taken MVP off of the board right now.
Yep.
Completely taken it off the board. So you're not going to get Luka odds on FanDuel right now. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs and slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All right, Slightly, let's talk about the others in this game. Who made impacts for the Mavericks? Let's talk about Josh Green. Makes his return. First time he's been back in 12 games or so. And he comes off the bench as we expected, plays just under 14 minutes, hit a corner three, missed all of his other shots, but I thought that his energy and at least just having one more live body in the rotation really helped the Mavericks.
Yeah, you made a good point earlier when both teams on the second night of a back-to-back, and it really showed for Miami, and it really showed towards the end of the game for the Mavs as well. Just having a guy who's already an energy guy, that's what Josh Green brings to the table,
right.
But having him fresh legs, as fresh as it gets pretty much for these where, coming off of an injury, but didn't play last night. And yeah, I think you could definitely feel it. And, he got into the paint, was able to kick out off of that as well. So I thought it was a good return for Josh Green, despite, 1 of 5 from the field.
But 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He had a steal. He had a really good offensive rebound. He always gets one. That's been my thing with him since he started playing for the Mavs. Yeah. He always gets one good offensive rebound. I also am going to give Jason Kidd some credit here. And I don't do this. Haven't done this very often this season, but the depth of the Mavericks team is really good right now. And Jason Kidd, I think, has done a good job monitoring a lot of minutes, especially with guys like a Derrick Jones Jr., like a Daniel Gafford, and even like a Josh Green and a Maxi, where it'd be easy for a coach to just be like, all right, Gafford, what is he, 5 of 5, 6 of 6 from the floor? Let's play him 33 minutes. Let's play him as much as we play Luka and Kyrie and PJ and just throw him out there. Or Derrick Jones Jr. Let's play him as much as we play those guys. Or Maxi. Oh, we got the spacing, and look at Maxi's perimeter defense. Let's play him a bunch of minutes. And instead, he's monitored those minutes and held them back. Even Exum too. He only played 18 minutes in this game, back to what he's been normally playing, and keeping those minutes low, especially for those guys who are all energy guys, all guys that come in and have to bring athleticism. Derrick Jones Jr. has brought so much athleticism, and they tip out rebounds, and they try to get extra possessions, and they hustle. And keeping all those guys' minutes lower has really helped the Mavericks in this stretch, I think, because Gafford didn't play 35 minutes last night and 35 minutes tonight. He played 22 last night, and then he plays 25 in this game. I think that has been just really good management of the roster and really good management of minutes. And yeah, Luka and Kyrie are going to play a lot of minutes, but they can manage their own effort during a game, where the other guys, the role players, they can't. They got to put 100% effort in all the time when they're out there, because that's what they're there to do.
Yeah, no, look, Isaac tweeted it out. It's 3 years with the Mavs for Kidd and 2 50-win seasons in the top 5. That's in a very tough conference. We came on here. We both did several weeks ago. We were like, yeah, fire Kidd. It's over. Fire him. I'm done with him. Fire him tomorrow for all I care. But we got, 50 wins is, especially in this tough of a conference, is nothing to sneeze at. And the way this team's playing right now, their effort, their focus. And yeah, I think a lot of that does have to do with the fact that they're not playing 40 minutes a night, because that was the problem that plagued that conference finals team at times, was they had to ride Dorian and Reggie. And by the end of that playoff run against the Warriors, they were just done. They just didn't have any miles left. And that was pretty much it for Reggie Bullock's career. They got the end of Reggie Bullock. They've been doing
it since January. They did it from January all the way through the playoffs. And we're like, oh, we're just done. Yeah.
So it is nice to have that depth. And yeah, he's pulled the strings, man. He really has. These guys can't play 48 minutes. All right. And with Lively out, you're not going to get Gafford for 35 minutes, like you said. So people get upset when, Gafford comes out. Gafford's just never been that guy in his career, where he's going to play 30 plus minutes. Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to have a little change of pace here and there too.
To come out and to be as forceful and to play with that. I keep saying it over and over again, but it's true to have that kind of guy. And he's 6 of 6 in this game, continues. Now that he's starting a new streak. He was 12 of 12, now 6 of 6. Just great stuff. 3 more assists for him in this game too. 3 blocks, just filled up the box score.
What's crazy about that is he had some of his makes were like kind of tough shots. He had like a hook shot like by the free throw line almost against
like
Bam.
10 feet out.
I was like, do you know you have a streak? Like I was like, hey, don't shoot that. And then he did. They had a crazy like trying to get a foul, falling to the ground layup that went in. Like some tough makes.
He was halfway to the ground and he just chucked the shot up and it went in. And then I tweeted, I was like, let's just have him take a 3 because everything's going in for him. Like, let's just try it. Like, I just want to see something here.
Hey, Bam shot 2 threes tonight.
They did not look good.
He's been shooting. I was shocked by that, and I looked it up. He's shot like 1.5 threes a game over the last month.
They've wanted him to. They've tried, but he had an awful game offensively. I just didn't think he had a great game at all. That's not the type of player that he is.
And then that foul on Derrick Jones Jr. I mean, that was a dirty play, like through and through.
Yeah, let's talk about Derrick Jones Jr. So he hurts that shoulder. Bam Adebayo kind of hooks him, and then Maxi runs into both of them, and then kind of like extends Derrick Jones Jr.'s shoulder a little bit. He was on the bench. Didn't seem like anybody was too alarmed with it. He didn't like go back to the locker room, I don't think, or at least he wasn't for a long time. But I thought Derrick Jones Jr. had a real big impact on this game. There was 2 plays specifically that I saw. This is something that I've been on with Derrick Jones Jr. At the beginning of the season, I thought he was driving with real confidence. And when he drives with real confidence, he can like do some stuff, like some finishes around the rim.
Yeah.
He's been better at layups than dunks this season, like statistically, which is weird. But beginning of the game, 8 minutes left in the first quarter. He attacks a closeout. He stops and he pulls up for like a 6-foot jumper, like just a mid-range, like Kawhi Leonard looking jumper. And then third quarter, 10 minutes left. He attacks a closeout and he had that little like hook push shot in the lane too. And I was like, okay, we're back with Derrick Jones Jr. confident drives. Like I'm feeling really good about that. If he can do that, I mean, it adds a little level to the Mavericks offense.
Yeah, and that also opens up these opportunities where feels like this used to be like a once every few weeks thing with the Mavs. We'd post the clip, like, oh my God, look at that ball movement. Look at that ball movement. Everyone touched the ball. But now it feels like once or twice a game, the Mavs, somebody drives, kicks. That person drives, kicks. That person drives, kicks. And it ends up in like a Kyrie Irving wide open 3 or like a Luka, 3 where a defender's closing out and he can fake and then drive and then create something off of that. It's like 2 or 3 times a game. Part of that is Derrick Jones Jr. Another big part of that is Dante Exum too, because I feel like he's involved in every single one of those.
Absolutely.
But yeah, when Derrick Jones Jr. when he doesn't travel, that's the thing. Because a lot of those rip and goes, it feels like he travels a lot, but I don't think he did it all tonight. But yeah, he's like acrobatic and he absorbs contact and he's really athletic, so he can hang in the air and he's really lengthy, so he can get kind of crafty with some of these finishes. Yeah, it is a really nice thing to have.
You mentioned that the ball movement possessions. I'm so glad you said that because I said that in the middle of this game. I was like, if the Mavs style of offense has so changed, like gone are the days of just Luka holds the ball for a whole quarter. I mean, it would happen where the first quarter, Luka would just have the ball the whole quarter and kick out maybe once or twice to players for threes and do that. Now, there's 1 or 2 possessions a quarter where every single person touches the ball on offense. And that was such a rare thing for so long for the Mavericks. Like this, and it's because of the chemistry, it's because of the camaraderie. I think it's because of Kyrie, because Kyrie pushes ball movement. I mean, the Luka Brunson pairing was both of them doing ISO. Like that, it was just both of them and both being super efficient at it and great at it. But Kyrie pushes more ball movement than Brunson did when it was Luka and Brunson. And so, yeah, the ball movement's been awesome. But on Derrick Jones Jr., I thought that he just had such a big impact. A couple of those drives, he only hit 1 out of his 5 threes, but he had 2 offensive rebounds where he just tips the ball. And every once in a while, he'll just jump in and out of nowhere tip the ball and give the Mavs an extra possession. I don't know if he gets credit for offensive rebounds on all of them, but he gives the Mavs extra possessions. 2 steals, 2 blocks in this game too. And some of them like help blocks where he just comes out of nowhere. There's another one in this game where he just came out. When was it? He came out of nowhere. And second quarter, he had the huge help block, and then Josh Green dumped it over to Tim Hardaway Jr. in transition. Miami had to call a timeout after that, and that was the end of the non-Luka run when Luka was out with foul trouble. And it was just a really good play when Luka was on the bench.
Yeah, I mean his energy, the explosiveness leads to those help blocks, which is really nice. And him and Maxi both played great games. I want to give a shout out to Maxi too, because I thought Maxi was phenomenal defensively tonight. Like this was a masterclass defensive effort from Maxi, who's stringing together some very good defensive performances. So much so that I'm a little concerned about Derek Lively in his return and what it could look like in the postseason.
Here's the thing. It's all options.
Yeah,
It's all options. You've got the options, right? And that's the really cool thing about this Mavs team, and the really cool thing about the trades that they even made is that, like, you didn't trade for a Bradley Beal that, like, you have to play him because he makes $50 million, right? And so you brought in a PJ who's going to play all the time because he fits and is playing really well. But you brought in Gafford, who you can bench for Lively. If they match up against the Nuggets in a round, you can start Lively and bench Gafford, and I think everything would be fine, because Lively has played Jokic decently well. You can play Maxi 30 minutes if you have to in a game, and like play Lively and Gafford less. And I think it'll be okay because these are not all like super high minute getters or guys that are making $30 million. And like, I think the chemistry and all this has really worked. And you give Jason Kidd credit for that too.
And I was doing some lineup, just looking at some stuff today. My Lord, the Maxi and PJ lineups, where Maxi's the 5 and PJ's the 4, dominate. Like, I need people to understand this because I think there's like a notion that Maxi at the 5 doesn't work, and people get because Maxi offensively can be super shaky sometimes that it gets very frustrating. But it's Maxi in the 4 guards. When Kidd just falls asleep at the wheel at times, it's like, all right, Hardy, Tim, Kyrie, Luka, and Maxi.
No, and Exum, and he just
in Exum. It's like, what on earth am I even watching? This looks like a pickup basketball game where just 5 guys randomly walk in. It's like, hey, you want to run? Yeah, sure.
Well, you saw that lineup. That lineup had been starting at the beginning of the second quarter, and instead of Hardy, it was Josh Green. And so then you're like, okay, it's one more wing instead of the one more guard. And I don't know, maybe that makes a difference. But
yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Josh Green being plugged into those. But yeah, that's not Maxi's fault though. Is the point I'm trying to get across. Yeah, he's being put in a terrible position.
Yeah,
but the Maxi
I'll take his
PJ
defense
stuff is shocking.
I'll take his defense even if he's like not producing a lot on offense.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying for the playoffs, if this is the Maxi you're going to get defensively, that opens up a lot of things for you, like a lot. Because there were times this season where, especially coming back from that toe injury, where it looked like, did he lose the toe? Like that's what we were all wondering. Like he looked
toe injury ever.
He's like he looked really slow at times on the perimeter, and like his lateral movement looked really rough. And it was like, did he lose the toe? Are we sure
brought
he
him back for
toes?
A game? He played 15 minutes in a random game, and then they're like,
really weird.
Never mind. You're going to be out for 3 more months.
Dude, that happened to Exum too. Remember, he came back for like 1 game and then was out another 10 afterwards.
It's the curse of Casey Smith, I guess.
This season, like when I think about it, I'm like, I can't believe the season's almost over. It flies by. But then I think about individual moments. I'm like, oh my God, this was the longest season ever.
Yeah. Do you remember that Casey Smith story that came out? And we were all like,
yes.
What the hell is happening? Like, did he want to move? Did he like,
I can't believe that was before the season started.
I know. Well, somebody was asking me about should Nico Harrison get executive of the year, like contribution or like recognition and get that award. And I'm like, yeah, it'll probably go to Brad Stevens for getting Porzingis and Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
But Nico should get some recognition for sure. And then someone was like, well, I mentioned all these moves. He's like, you forgot about Kyrie. Like that did not happen this year. we can't blur all of that into one season.
Oh my God. What a
we'll be back tomorrow.
Journey.
I'll be back with Dana Larson to talk about more of this journey. And then we'll be back on Friday night going into Saturday too, and talk about all kinds of Mavs stuff. And then, Friday Pistons game, and then Sunday Thunder game. So all kinds of stuff. Go check out the Locked On Sports Dallas YouTube channel. All kinds of good stuff there. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.
50 wins. If you'd have told me that before the season, I would have thought we got Wemby.